back to my channel, and I am back to doing film reviews. If you guys want to check out the playlist for all the reviews I watched in 2026, I'm going backwards because I thought I wasn't going to be doing this, but we've had some really good films coming out this summer, and the one we're about to talk about is a great one that I'm like, I need to get my thoughts out there.
The place. I found a place. Look, I know how this sounds, but you gotta understand, it's massive in there.
Backrooms. This came out on May 29, 2026. It's rated R. It is directed by Kane Parsons. Budget was $10 million and is distributed by A24. It stars Chiwetel as Clark, Renate as Mary, Bennett as Bobby, and Lukita Maxwell as Kat. I will be so honest and let you guys know, I knew nothing about Backrooms until my husband came up to me and was like, hey, I saw a trailer for a new film I want to watch. And I take note of this because a few years ago, he saw a trailer for Smile, the first one, was like, I want to go see Smile. He still has not seen Smile or Smile 2. I had to watch them both alone because by that time they came out in theaters, he changed his mind. So I'm like, show me the trailer of the Backrooms and I'm going to make sure that we actually go see it. And so as it got closer to time, I'm like, you still want to see that film? He's like, yeah. And then when it came out, he's like, hey, tonight, can we go see the Backrooms? And I'm like, oh, we're doing this, okay. And he told me it was a weird phenomenon about people disappearing, and then, I don't know, and I knew nothing about it. I hear people saying all the time it came from a creepypasta type of thing, and unless you've been living under a rock, everyone has seen the infamous image of the backroom. I wasn't living under a rock. I could see if I was doing this, where I was doing my solo grooming at home where I work alone, or the mobile grooming where I work alone, and I don't talk to coworkers. I could see me not knowing anything about the Backrooms. But the Backrooms started back in like 2016? I was working in a corporate place with pet stylists and managers and a lot of people around me. Not one of them ever mentioned the Backrooms to me. I feel like that in itself is a concept. How did nobody for years, for a decade, because that was what, 2016, we're in 2026, for a decade no one told me about the Backrooms? That's kind of a weird theory right there I could go into. But he's telling me about it and I was just like, I want to go in as blind as possible. He's like, you could look it up. And I'm like, I thought he meant like look it up and you just see films of people, like found footage of people disappearing and then coming back. And I'm like, okay, I don't know and I don't care, but okay. I'll check it out after we watch the movie. I went and did a whole deep dive. I did not know when he's like, oh, you could look it up on YouTube under Kane Pixels. I didn't know that was a person. I don't know what I thought, but I just thought that was a YouTube name. And I didn't know that was Kane Parsons, who is the director of Backrooms. And he's not the creator. I feel bad for the person who ever posted the original picture because they're making nothing from doing that. But it launched a film that with a budget of $10 million is making so much more money than $10 million. And he is like really profiting off this thing, which is amazing. He started this when he was like 15, I think. And he just came up with the concept. A lot of people were coming up with rules for the Backrooms. Oh, this level means this level means that. And Kane Parsons is like, no, there is no levels. It's just endless liminal space. What is liminal space? Liminal space is so creepy. I used to actually spend my time in spaces like this in the malls. And there's just that empty, there's all the hustle and bustle over here, but then there's that empty store area where it's a corner with a very small store and there's no one there, no one's around it, and you're like, why is no one over there? Or when I used to hang out at the college and there's just a staircase. Where does the staircase go to? And I was crazy enough to go see, like, where does the staircase lead to? It's just empty spaces that no one goes into. And you're like, I'm gonna go into it. However, I will say I would not go into the Backrooms. This film creates a story for the Backrooms. Kane Parsons came out with a whole, it's not just found footage of people falling in and out of the Backrooms. It's actually basically a short collection of a story for the Backrooms. And my husband couldn't really answer if it was created by Async or not. Either they stumbled upon it or they created it. He wasn't too sure. But I went and watched all of it. I did a deep dive, guys, of all of this. And they discover the Backrooms from, I believe, an earthquake, I think, or sonar something that caused it, and it just came to be. And I like more so the way it is on YouTube, where in found footage number 2, she taped it off like how Clark does in the movie. She taped it off blue tape, and she's like, this is where the back room, this is a space where my tennis balls are disappearing into. Here, let me record it for you. And as she's talking, the space opens up and takes her down into the Backrooms, and she looks up and she can't get back out. And I like that. I like that it's a space that just traps you in there. In the film, Clark is a furniture store owner, and he discovers a doorway in his store's basement that leads to a dimension of endless, empty, and disorientating rooms. His therapist must venture into this unknown space to save him, exploring the creepy and familiar liminal spaces. So he's an owner of a furniture store, and we find out that his wife actually kicked him out of the house, and he's going to his therapist to talk about why this is going on and how he feels about it, and he's very angry about it. And I'm already going to give acting for Ejiofor's performance. Even in the first therapy session, his wife had kicked him out of the house, and so he basically lives at the furniture store. And him owning the furniture store, it was such a big space, the original, where you see all the furniture. And then there's a downstairs, and he's complaining about his rent being so high and having to pay all this electricity. And I'm like, downsize. I'm sorry, but downsize. With owning my own grooming shop, this is why I haven't gone to brick and mortar, because yeah, it's expensive. And if I had such a big place that I'm not using, downsize. But that, he just has this huge area, and you never see any customers go into it. But he's talking to his therapist about how he felt with his wife kicking him out, and you could kind of tell he's the reason. He's the reason he got himself kicked out of the house. It's not until later we kind of start putting pieces together that he may have been not the nicest and may have harmed her in some way. He has 2 co-workers who are recording a commercial for his furniture store, and he's dressed up as a pirate, and it's very goofy, but he does that. And then again, he's staying in the furniture store. He asks an electrician to come by, and you see 2 weird switches on the switchboard that shouldn't be there. And he's like, what do those belong to? And he's like, I don't know, it must have just been a mistake. He's like, well, call me in the morning. And I like the way they shoot this. They shoot it like you see Mary, the therapist, in her bedroom at home, and then you see Clark in his bed, you assume at home, but you kind of already forgot, he got kicked out of his home, and it does a wide shot, and he is sleeping in a furniture store, and the lights start going out. So he goes downstairs to explore it, and he ends up hitting the 2 switches, because he's hitting all the switches, nothing's happening. He hits the 2 switches at the bottom, and all the lights go out. When all the lights go out, he's like, okay, I'll call it for tonight. He starts going upstairs when he sees a very small slither of light through what looks like a doorway. So he goes over there and he's like, hello, is anyone there? Because like, what? And that's when he falls into the Backrooms. And the difference with this compared to the miniseries on YouTube is he is able to go in and out of the back room. He goes in, and then when he explores a little bit, he finds the cutout, which was in the first episode. And that cutout of the caveman is actually something that we did. I don't know if it's the caveman, but we sent something up in space where it says hello. It says greetings in every language. And that's kind of what that is, because if anyone falls into the back rooms, they can find that. But something collects the cardboard cutout and he gets out real fast. I believe he grabbed a chair at this point. I can't remember. But he goes back to his therapist and he's like, I found something. It's a space and it's endless. And she's like, okay. And he's like, you don't believe me? I'll be back with evidence. So he goes to his co-workers and he's like, hey guys, I'll raise your pay, help me out, let's go back, let's go exploring. But Bobby is very okay with doing it, but Kat is like, I don't want to do that. But they go in, and I remember, well, and they go in, and for some reason, of all the spaces they could be exploring, Clark wants to explore this place where you have to go way down like a cave. And he's like, Bobby, tie yourself to this couch. We're going to throw you down there. And Bobby's like, okay, so he does that. And this part scared me. And I'm going to say it right now. I don't think anyone was scared of this film except for me. I had knots in my stomach. I felt sick watching this movie because I was so anxious about all the things you're going to see that could show up in the Backrooms. Because remember, I didn't know which thing about it. And I kept asking my husband, I'm like, is there a creature in there? Is there like something scary? He's like, you're just going to have to see. He's down there and he sees his shirt that he was wearing a couple days ago when they're filming the commercial. And he's like, why is my shirt down here? And then in the load of laundry, you see a face. You see a face. Bobby does not mention this face. And for some reason, this is what scared me the most, is I saw the face and I kept it to myself. I'm like, is there a face in the laundry? In my head, I thought that. And my sister whispers, she's like, hey, do you see a face looking in the laundry? And I'm like, oh God, is it real? Like, is that real? There's a reason I have to question if things are real. What I see is actually what I see. And that kind of actually leads to where one of the thoughts for me with Clark, when he was first going around everyone, I'm like, he sounds kind of schizo. Okay, Little Miss has to be up here because she keeps getting herself into some issues. No one in the movie mentions the face you see in the laundry. Now, I don't know why, but that scared the out of me. I don't know why. Clark goes, they go to try to find Bobby because you see an entity dragging Bobby, and because he's tied to the couch, it pulls Mary and Clark down too. And by the time they fall down there, they see Bobby being taken by some entity, and he's gone. He's no longer living. Kat just hightails it out of there. She runs for her life, and Clark goes to find her. And it's interesting because the Backrooms looks different for everybody, because with a lot of deep diving, what I've realized is the Backrooms is kind of our memories. I remember things differently than she's going to remember things, than my husband's going to remember things. Kind of like that scene. That scene probably didn't scare that many people. And I'm just going to tell myself that the face in the laundry was the cutout poster of the caveman, because that's what keeps me being able to sleep. I don't know why it scares me that it could have actually either been someone watching him or a deceased person. I don't know why, but both of those creep me out. So it's just a caveman cutout. Clark goes to find Kat, and he can't see her because it's just a blank wall for him, but he hears her. And she's like, why don't you come over here? And he's like, I can't see you. And she's like, yeah, it's a window, I can see you. And he's like, I can't see you. But he set the camera down, and something picks up the camera, and then it cuts back to the therapist. And before that, he walked into a room with a Christmas tree, and there's some interesting looking people there. Mostly this woman who is holding her head, and she comes running after him. And I was just like, oh, hell no, I told you there were creatures. I didn't want there to be creatures. Blah. It scared me. I did not like it. But after this creature picks up his camera, it cuts back to Mary. And she is very broken. She has a past where her mom, talking about schizophrenia, was very schizophrenic and was taping her into the house. And I kept asking my husband, I'm like, was this from the makers of weapons? Because that seems very weapons-like. I don't think it was. But obviously it wasn't. It's Kane Parsons. But her house was demolished. And I thought maybe it's because the mom knew about the Backrooms, so they had to destroy her. I don't now think that she knew anything about the Backrooms. But they demolish her house, and she holds on to the handprint that of her and her mom put into the cement before it got demolished. And she carries that to this day. And Clark calls her and says, hey, I know you've been helping me and you want me to open the window. I've opened the window and I'm going to stay here. So she's like, okay, he must be talking about that place that is behind his warehouse that he is talking about. So she goes. You can tell some time has passed. I really wish they had shown more about what Clark went through in that time, because by the time she gets down there and she discovers the back room, she sees a fly go into the wall, and so that's how she knows this is the entrance. So she goes in there and she finds Clark. And I didn't think that was Clark at first. I was like, nope, that's not going to be him. It was. She finds this portrait that says, tables don't bleed. It shows a monster eating someone. And it says, time isn't the same here. And it's very much, it reminds me of Welcome to Derry. If you watched it, Welcome to Derry, how Pennywise says, oh, your son either killed me or maybe I was born. I don't know. Time's weird. And I'm actually reading a Stephen King book right now that's very much about time not being linear. And that's such an interesting concept. And this really dives into that. She finds Clark, and instead of helping her, he captures her, ties her to the table. And I thought this was very Chainsaw Massacre. My husband doesn't see it, but he ties her to a table where there's those creatures from the Christmas room. They're very disformed. They don't talk. And Clark claims they don't feel pain. And when my sister and I and my husband were talking about the film afterward, they're like, well, at least they didn't feel pain. I'm like, how do we know that? We don't actually know what they're feeling. We know they're not screaming and causing a commotion, but they could still feel it. They could just be paralyzed. I don't know. I felt for them. But the redhead creature who was holding her head and walking up to him, she's in there. And he's not scared. He's just like, oh, welcome to dinner. Like, hi, let's have a meal. Oh, by the way, you can eat these people. And he cuts out the guy's stomach and like puts it on the table. It's revealed that he killed Kat because Kat's head's in the fridge. And she's like, what in the world is going on with you? And he's like, let's act that therapist scene out again. Let's act out how I got kicked out of the house. And she didn't want to, but he's like, but you have to look the part. And he goes to the woman that was holding her head and going after him, and he scalps her. Oh, I couldn't watch that, but he does that, and he puts the head with the hair, the red hair, on Mary. Took me a while, a lot of deep diving. I do believe that was his wife. That was supposed to be his memory of his wife. That's why she's so broken looking, and that's why she was able to just cut her head, because I think Clark ended her life in real life. But while they're doing the role play again, instead of coddling him and being the professional that Mary should be, saying, well, Clark, it wasn't your fault, you didn't know, she's like, no, you're crazy. She left you because of you. This is all you. And he's like, you're right. It is me. And he came to terms with, and sometimes, honestly, I feel this, because I have such, you could call it postpartum rage. It's not postpartum depression anymore, because my doctor informed me after 2 years, she's about to be 30, it's just regular depression again. Sometimes you do have to just admit, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me. And we're so conditioned to tell people, no, it's not, you're such a great person. I don't think Clark was such a great person. And he realizes this. And he's like, I like it down here. It's kind of like how I like grooming here. I don't have to answer to anyone. I don't have to tiptoe around anyone. I don't have to offend anyone here. Working by myself. And so he comes to terms with it, but there's a part of him that does not like that he came to terms with it. And that part is the creation of the Backrooms, where we meet Pirate Clark. And Pirate Clark is played by Robert Bobroczkyi. Sorry if I butchered that name. But he also played the alien in Alien Romulus. And he's such a great actor. But he's a version of Clark. He is Clark's worst version of himself. That as soon as the redhead lady knows he's about to come in, she starts running. She tries to get away because this is the scariest part of Clark, the part that probably ended the wife's life that is coming. So she's trying to escape. And Clark's calm. He's like, hey, bro, guess what? Don't be mad at Mary. She can stay because she tells me I'm the problem. I can stay here. I'm the problem. It's me. Like, everything's fine. And to Pirate Clark, who is his rage, who is his anger, who is his vengeance, he doesn't like that. He's like, don't come to terms with yourself. And I feel that. I feel very much a parallel with myself sometimes, that if I were to get rid of my anger, yeah, I'm not me. And so Pirate Clark is like, so he ends Clark's life. And that basically is that Clark ended his own, because you think about it, he's going to stay in Backrooms and just not be existing anyway. So he was the ending of his own demise. Mary hightails it out of there, and I just realized something interesting in someone's deep dive, that Pirate Clark may not actually have been trying to attack Mary, and was maybe asking for help, because he starts obviously going after her. He could probably reach her in like 2 steps because he's so tall, but instead he's like kind of just slowly going after her, and he starts dragging Clark's body around. And I find that interesting, because why would you drag the body around? He didn't eat it, he killed him, and then he is just dragging the body around. And it's kind of like, help me type of thing. Maybe this is just a new theory I heard, and it helps me not be so scared of Pirate Clark, because I was terrified of him. I was like, oh, hell no. He looked goofy. I do want to say that the effects, I don't know if they're practical or not, but he looked kind of clownish, but I still won't want to be chased by something like that. And so she starts running up the stairs, and I thought it would have been neat if they'd given a nod to Harry Potter in the staircase likes to change and the staircase moves, but it didn't. And she runs up there, and she thinks she's back out of the back rooms, back in the furniture store. And I'm like, that's the back rooms. That's literally just a replica of the furniture store. She runs into something, or she hits him with the cardboard box, because the cardboard box of the caveman is actually a trap from async. It's basically, if a creature ends up messing with it, or if a person messes with it, they know someone's there. And Clark moved it when he was there, and that's how the async scientist that finds Mary and questions her realized Clark was in the back rooms. He was sitting down with his family to dinner when he sees a Pirate Clark, and he sees Clark's commercial, and he realized that's the same guy I just saw in the back rooms. And so they find Mary, they realize she's an actual person, and you see when they're moving her back into the interview room that they're working on Pirate Clark, because they're studying these creatures. And they ask her how she got in and all this stuff, and she's like, answer me this, am I getting out of here? And he's like, that's not up for me to decide. In the very ending shot, we go down all the liminal spaces, all the memories, the copies, because Async was an MRI facility. And one of the YouTubers explained it like this: an MRI takes copies, pictures of copies of the memories of you, in order to produce those images, the Backrooms is doing the same thing, and it shows Mary at the very end, and it shows her copy. Now, whether this means she escapes or not, I have no idea. I heard some people in the theater going like, "Oh my God, they turned her." I don't think the scientists are turning people into these creatures. That's literally the Backrooms doing it. But it does leave off ambiguous on if she will make it out or not. I don't think she will. But at the same time, I'm confused on how people know about the Backrooms. Because according to this, no one makes it out. But in the found footage 1 on YouTube, the original character, who I think was played by Kane Parsons, falls into the Backrooms. He gets lost, and then he gets caught by one of the entities, but his camera comes back out through another portal of the Backrooms, and that hence found footage. So, I don't know. It's very open-ended, and there's so many ways he could go and do either a TV series or do more films. I think our next movie, if we do a movie, needs to be about Async, because I want to know, did they create the Backrooms? Did they discover the Backrooms? Why were they testing on Pirate Clark? I just want to know so much more. I stayed up for so long researching so much about the Backrooms. I could go on forever. One aspect I have not realized, I've not heard anybody put together with this. This reminds me, if they had said that this was directed by Jordan Peele, I would have believed it, because it reminds me so much of Us with the tethering. In Us, you do have another version of you, not as bizarre looking, but maybe just as angry. That is the Lupita Nyong'o's character ends up switching places with her tethered version, but they're basically doing the exact same thing you're doing. So maybe it's not the same, but that's what I got. I got vibes of Us from this. But with this film, like I said before, I'm going to give it acting. I thought it was acted out very great. Cinematic, because it's cinematic for this universe. This is the first time we're seeing Kane Parsons videos on the big screen, and I think it looked amazing. Intrigue, it's so intriguing. I still want to do so much more deep diving. Story, I do think there's a story there. I just want it more fleshed out, and I can't wait to see more. I'm going to give it script because I just think it was well written. Editing, it's very iconic. Because now, from going to knowing nothing about the Backrooms, all I do is think about the Backrooms. And in very liminal space I see, I think about the Backrooms. And rewatchable. I haven't rewatched it yet, but I can't wait to go rewatch it. But with all that being said, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you guys have seen this, what you think about the Backrooms. Let me know if you've seen the miniseries, any tie-ins you saw with it. And let's just talk everything Backrooms. And I will see you guys very soon for our next film that we will talk about. Thanks, guys. Bye.